Hello there, Pastafarians. It's me, Schizophrenic Mitch. Today is Friday, and these are our Pastafarian worship services, led by me, Schizophrenic Mitch. I've been a minestrone of the Flying Spaghetti Monster since May of the year 12,016. And I've been doing this quite a bit. Do it from my home studio here at Sacred Studios, where I do my radio show throughout the week. But we like to get very, very serious for Fridays. Get super, super serious. And worship truth. I worship truth. I worship communication. You are free, of course, to worship what you would like. My advice to you is to worship something that doesn't come with like a lot of negative consequences. Yeah, so I found that truth and communication have not been bringing with them all the crusty shit from ages past. So I feel very safe worshipping truth. If you disagree, if you think truth is not a safe thing to worship, or if you think there's something much more safer to worship, please do let me know. So, but you, of course, are your own person. You can worship what you like. I can't tell you what to worship. I mean, I suppose I can. You know, I suppose I just did, I guess. But, you know, comes down to it, it's your responsibility. These are not just worship services, these are invocation services. I will be invoking that which is responsible for all of our conversion into the cult of the Flying Spaghetti Monster. The very creator himself of the Flying Spaghetti Monster. I will invoke the Flying Spaghetti Monster in the space that I'm in, and hopefully it will work such that he or Quab, depending on how you want to say that, manifests himself in space that you're in too. I don't mean to say you're in. Like, I don't mean to get anyone distracted by saying things like urine, and then everyone laughs at that. But perhaps, if you stay with us during these worship services here for the next about an hour, you will become a Pastafarian, and then you'll join us as we change the world and fix what's wrong. So let me let you know how that's going to happen. First of all, I've got to talk about rituals. We are a ritualistic people. I know I say this every week, but the point is, I don't know who's this service here is for the next 7 days. Until I make another one. And so you know you don't have to be here with us as we do this. The point is, this magic works sort of for a whole week. So while it's the current one, it sort of is infused with a certain ability to make you feel But you don't have to do it right now. You don't have to do it on Friday, in fact. In fact, your Friday can be any day. You can be like, you know, it's not even a day for me. It's 5 o'clock. As soon as 5 o'clock rolls around, it's fucking Friday for me, bitch. So, you know, it's really a state of mind, and not absolutely a chime, or a position of the hands of the clock, really. Yeah. But when I can do record a worship services on Friday, I like to, because I can, and it's Friday, and I'm feeling great about this. So rituals. So here's what your rituals do for you. They take a thing that you've sort of thought about or puzzled about, right? And you offload it, as it were, right? And so everything that you do that is that, right? Everything you do that's just sort of offloading. I've thought about this over and over and over. It's the same every time. I'm always solving this problem the same way, and so I just solve it this way. That's very ritualistic. We're very ritualistic people. We're very religious people too. Humans are. And so the thing about those two ideas, but mostly ritual because that's what we're talking about, but also religion in general, is that if you're not in control of it, it's out of control.
Yeah.
So it's much safer. Like your emotions, you're an emotional person, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so when you're a young person, you just sort of went where your emotions took you, right? When you were in grade school, it was a very, very emotional time.
Mm-hmm.
Just sort of leaving school was a heartbreak, right? The idea of like, well, I'll be back here tomorrow, so, you know, I'm not really mourning anything. Didn't have anything to do with those feelings that you had. And so, while your feelings were out of control, out of your own control, they were, in effect, literally out of control. There's no one else who can control your emotions, or your spirituality, or your rituals, or your music. And no one has done anything to control it except for you. You know, like, none of the efforts to control your rituals are as effective as your own, right? Like, they just don't really count, right? You're in control of your rituals. You've been this whole time. Just like your mind, you're in control of that. It's stuck in your head. No one else is.
Mm-hmm.
The person who's been in control of it this whole time is you. And so, just as an aside, I was a myth believer for a long time. I was addicted to myth. I lived my life as if it was true. I was a true myth addict. I went on a mission for the Mormons and tried to get other people addicted to it. So I sold for my pusher, as it were, and got other people on the hook. So, yeah, that's stinky. What was I going to talk about with that? We're talking about rituals. Oh well.
Trusting ourselves versus.
Oh yeah, that is it. Thank you. Because I look back on that person and I'm like thinking about how he behaved. And, the way that I used to like listen to for the creator tell me what to do, right? The story. And so I listened really, really hard. And so it felt like I was not in control, right?
Mm-hmm.
But in reality, I was making all the decisions, right? I was making the decision to listen. I was listening. It was my brain that was dealing with quote unquote listening.
Mm-hmm.
So it could only hear things from where it was pointed, right? I was choosing where to point it. So like all the control about it really, really was mine in a way that I just couldn't understand at the time, right?
Yeah.
It really felt like someone else was responsible for the decision of my life, because all the decisions that I could offload, because that is the sort of one of the religious rituals is stop being responsible for everything that you are responsible for, right? Like Christian blood magic is to shift responsibility for these great and eternal sins that we can't fucking shift them up to the blood god. But no, you're responsible for all your sins, eh? You always will be. There's no such thing as switching around. You are the one responsible for your rituals. You are responsible for your spirituality. And just in coming here, I think you've taken a great step in that responsibility. I'm not going to let it flap and breeze anymore. Not going to pretend that I'm not the one responsible for my spiritual growth and development. Don't hand it off to your pastors or your minstronies. It really is your endeavor. You're a puppet of the creator.
Only you can figure out your morality.
Yeah, right. It's an individual project that we all have to work on. Like you can talk to people who are doing the same project, and their homework is just absolutely useless for you. You've got to do the homework. And this is not the homework. This is the ritual, right? This is not the progress through your spiritual life and how to change yourself spiritually, right? How to wake every day in a new day, right?
Yeah.
To continue to wake, to continue to discern reality for what it is, and iterate your model, as it were, for the universe, right? Discern the universe better and better each day. Clearer iteration, This is not how to do that. This is a ritual. How to do that, we sort of talk about. Well, it's in the books, right? That's in the gospel. So this is just the rituals of. Some of us are addicted to religion. Like I said, I'm a myth addict. Totally addicted to the feeling that they gave me, this sort of false elation that they gave me. When you create a ritual, it evokes an emotional response, and so this is an attempt to control that, as it were, to not allow hucksters and shysters, I suppose, quacks, control over these parts of ourselves so that they can lead us wherever their dark intent, their dark imaginations allow them, right? Because they're taking advantage of our myth addiction, right? I didn't choose to be myth addicted. It happened to me when I was very young. I was given myth as a... oh, the wave background is too loud, I'm told. Well, look at this. Check this out. Boom. Look at that. Your feedback is quite helpful, Filthy Films. And I've already responded to it, though it took me like 9 minutes to notice. Eh? But, as I've been saying, these rituals here are meant to scratch this itch that many of us have, us myth addicts. To prove that...
we are in control of it.
Right, that this is a placebo, as it were, and we control when we take placebos. Like it still is under your control. These things do work. Use them yourself when you want them. If you find that you're listening to these videos once a day, that might be fine for a while, right? If you find it's been 9 years and you've been listening to them over and over and you're feeling it every day, oh no, that's definitely myth addiction, and that's not what it's for. This is for quitting myth addiction, right? This is for
self-realization,
right?
Yeah.
I'll never get over that addiction, but I do have this other thing that I have that scratches it, so that I don't have to be like, oh, I gotta go back there. Because it's all optical illusion, which I will show for you now. Well, not now. Soon, when I invoke the flying spaghetti monster. Today. So rituals, and when I do them, they become rituals. It's always a good joke. It's just the best joke ever. That's a pun. That's what I'm saying. The puns are not the best part. Oh, hold on, my cat. Speaking of a ritual that I have to deal with, there's a noise that happens in the world, and then I have to open the door, 2 doors for my cat. Let's do that. We put a bell on her so that she'd stop killing birds.
And
bunnies, but it just taught her to be quieter. Now she's even more stealthy killing machine than she was before. I'm afraid that...
we just gave her ninja training.
That's right. Whoops. Alright, so we Pastafarians, the baptism, as it were, of Pastafarianism, the way to join Pastafarianism is you've got to want to. You can go check the Gospel of Flying Spaghetti Monster, see if I'm making that up. You've got to want to be Pastafarian. And this has far-reaching consequences. One of them is there's the no true Pastafarian fallacy is impossible because we know what a true Pastafarian is, a person who wants to be, and so that's all. Like if I'm like, you can't have a no true Pastafarian fallacy or conversation unless you're talking about whether they want to be. That's the only conversation can be about. So that's nice. And secondly, you can be like, I'm a Pastafarian. It's like, wait a minute, do you want to be? And they're like, no. And you go like, did you ever want to be? Like, no, I was raised Pastafarian and I'm Pastafarian. And it's like, then you're not Pastafarian, right? See?
Nice.
So it's very, very easy. But that's one of the far-reaching consequences of having such an easy entrance exam. But then the other one is people accidentally become Pastafarian. It's not like this sort of like Christian thing where you have to like dunk your face in water or something, or like the Muslim thing. who's got to cut the tip of their dick off still? Someone's got to do that. Like, the entrance exam is really, really, really subtle. And in fact, a lot of people cross the threshold before we've even gotten to the conversation about the threshold. And they're like, well, I've done that. And I'm like, well, then you're Pastafarian. And they're like, oh, well, I wish you would have told me before you made me a Pastafarian. And I feel like you came at me fully unawares. And, yeah, that is it's very dangerous. And so, it's fine. You don't have to fucking quit any other cult you belong to. You can be a member of us and a member of them at the same time. It's not as fucking devastating as fucking accidentally becoming Muslim or something. And secondly, I think you can quit whenever you want. So if you want to quit, I think then you have, right?
Yeah.
So I think the exit is just as easy as the entrance. So it's not like herpes where you've got to tell everyone for the rest of your life, hey, by the way, you know, I was Pastafarian for like a half a minute there, back in 19. But anyway, the long and short of it is, if I accidentally, against your consent, caused you to be Pastafarian today, I'm not sorry about that. I mean, that is my goal and my intent here, is to give people enough evidence that in 1 hour, for once a week, and they can come and see it happen over and over again, and there's enough evidence for the reality of Flying Spaghetti Monster, and enough evidence to prove that I am a prophet, and enough evidence to prove that my scriptures are true. And I can do it every week, and I like to do it on Friday, and we are within that hour of which I am doing it. And so, part of this ritual, this is all very ritualistic. If you go back and you listen to a week ago, you're like, he's saying the same thing. Yeah, of course I am, right? That's the ritual. Mm-hmm. And this is Mitchell's ritual, this is the Mitchell. So, Friday worship services by Schizophrenic Mitchell. We're only a third of the way there, ladies and gentlemen. We're only 19 minutes through a fucking 60-minute experience. And let me tell you, for those of you who have not come to the previous ones, this is much, much harder to do without music. Because all the suits and the Skeksis were all like, blah, 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 can't sell it. Blah, 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 looks edited. Blah, blah, blah. We don't own the fucking rights, whatever, whatever. And I'm like, alright, well, fine. I'll do it without the music. And so, that's why we've got this weird wave music. Because the fucking suits can't come up with a better idea than this. And I refuse to. God damn it. I'm saying we go back. I will not solve this problem. I will not help them move us into a more corporate, soulless, profit for its own sake world. This shit's about the Mitchells. So anyway, that's why there's stupid fucking waves going in the background. I keep putting on things and it's like, this just sounds exactly like white noise. Mm-hmm. I used to have this CRT television around the year 1996. And it had a certain kind of fuzz on it. A snow. You remember that from way back then?
Yep.
And you could, after about 30 seconds of staring at the snow, your mind just fucking really saw patterns. And, you know, I did no mind-altering drugs at the time. I did not drink or smoke or anything. And there were many, many minutes that I would sit there and watch what was essentially random numbers, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And then allow my eyes to attempt to discern patterns in it, right? I bring this up now because that's very much like what I was talking about earlier, where I was trying to listen for the voice of the creator telling me what to do. I should have known the creator doesn't give a shit what I do. And he's going to have different fucking idea every time he thinks of me, just like I do. Like, why the fuck do I think he wants to tell a story? He's going to change it every day, just like me. So, I was listening for a voice that wasn't there. And so I heard what I allowed myself to hear, right? I heard what I thought that voice might say, right? I wouldn't have heard something I didn't think it would say. And so that's sort of the point, is it was me the whole time. The person making the decisions was me. The filter that was deciding which options of the decisions were good options was me. It's always, it is you. You're in charge of it. And I was thinking about this guy the other day. When I was a kid, read this book, like Ripley's Believe It or Not or whatever, and it showed this picture of a guy who put his arm up in the 10 years ago, put his arm up, and then just held it there for 10 years, and then like bones fused, and so his arm's up.
Oh my gosh.
Right, and it was sort of like, I don't know, it was sort of as a show of like, look how rad I am. Look at the decisions I get to make in my life for the glory of whatever it is I'm representing. But it showed that thing, that idea of like, we are the ones who hunch our bodies, right? We are the ones who, with small decisions all day, we grow the crust that we are, the shell in the future. We did that, So, if you find that you've been doing the same stupid shit for 10 years, 10 years go by and you don't notice it, I think Pastafarianism can help you out with this. There's a disconnect between half of my culture from when I was younger. I was raised Mormon, like I say, and Mormons have the Mormons of the 80s, which is what I am, a child of the 80s. I was born in 78, and I remember mid-80s onward, and it was great. And the Mormon Corporation, the corporation of the President of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, and the Walt Disney Corporation sort of had a very similar audience for a long, long time. I think I've given away my punchline right there, but I'm still going to talk like I haven't. And Princess Bride and all these movies came out, and Mormons loved them. We loved them. But now the Disney Corporation has sort of grown up a little. They're still behind.
Right.
They've grown up as little as they can, as all of these corporations do for some reason. That's an important part of them, is and hold time still, so that we never have to make decisions again. It's not a very strange or good value of corporations to freeze time. But anyway, the Walt Disney Corporation could not freeze time, eh? So they're remaking some of their classics, but with some of the oversight removed, right? Like, or some of the just hopefully naivete gone, eh? Like I said earlier, the original Lion King, that's Ferris Bueller, eh? That's crazy. And now it's Troy. It's Childish Gambino. What's his name? Don Glover, right? So that's different, right? You see, the Walt Disney Company's grown up, but the Mormon Church does not want to, right? They've stayed a step behind, and they've done it on purpose. They've done it intentionally, and how embarrassing! Like, what a strange value. The idea of traditional values being like the value of I don't change my traditions. I didn't realize it's the other way around. Instead of traditional values, and we focus on them, and it's like family, and I can't think of any others. Can you? And then we just make it up. It's like our traditions are what we value. And it's like, oh, okay, well, I don't think that my traditions are valuable. They were made up by stupid people before we really understood, right? In the past, right? And so, there is no salvation for you in the past, eh? Let's walk to the future, let's see what tomorrow holds. And tomorrow holds some really weird fucking shit, relatively, to the fucking samey fucking... So, what I'm saying is, if you noticed that the last decade, or the decade before that, nothing happened, yeah, you done it, right? They got you. right? Maybe you were holding your arm up for that entire decade, right? They were not the same. These decades were not the same. Things were happening the whole time. If they weren't happening to you, it's because you were putting yourself in a position where they couldn't. Right. But that's not what truth is, and that's not where the conversation is, hidden in the closet. The conversation's out here at the street. The conversation is a lot of time at full volume, and the conversation is going to get us further and further and further into the future. The further we get in the conversation, the more sentences we hear that we've never heard before. The more we have to stop. We stop each other, even. I will stop the criticizers of the flying spaghetti monster, and the antiposties will make their arguments known, right? Mm-hmm. We will have to stop and say, well, that is a good point you make there. So, I do worship truth, and I do worship the future, as it were, as a promise. A lot of people say that tomorrow is not promised, and it's like, it's not promised to you, because you can go and get yourself killed or whatever. But I mean, this rock's going to be here, right? The sun's going to be there. Yeah. They're just going to be spinning around.
This earth will be here in some form.
In some form, and it could have been a form that we didn't burn, right? Yeah. It could have been a form that fucking humans were capable of living in for a very, very long time. And I think that is a sort of, it is a promise, that is the promise of tomorrow. Like, you guys can keep living here if you want. So, you know, I think I do worship the future more than I worship the past. I think I don't have traditional values, I have future values. I don't value tradition. I value our dogma in the Church of the Flying Spaghetti Monster given to us by the great and very profitable prophet Bobby Henderson. He's made a lot of money on this. But he says the only dogma is no dogma. I don't know anyone who's been that genius. I don't know if even the Buddha has come up with something like that. That's right. That's a genius statement. Obviously, not given to him by himself. It's got to come from somewhere else. So, right, this idea must be older than Bobby Henderson, right? Listen to how timeless it is. The only dogma is no dogma. Of course.
Things change from year to year.
And so there's no way that a mere mortal is capable of making that up, right? It must be a gift. So, let us go to the source of that truth and ask if he has any more. Bobby Henderson's books are available online, and you can help contribute to the fact that he is a prophet by giving him a bit of your money. Mm-hmm. But we here in the Cult of Flying Spaghetti Monster, we don't... I'm a different prophet, and I am yet to make a prophet, I think, is the issue here. So I would just like to take a minute here to remind you that there is such a thing as Patreon. You can go check that out when you want to. But that's not what we're here for. What we're here for is to do the trick, is to do the magic trick and make you feel something impossible, Because something impossible gave Bobby Henderson the truth. The truth comes from somewhere impossible. The truth exists outside of what we would call the universe. Wouldn't you agree? That we here in the universe are sort of like living in like a very real and literal sense, and in not that sense, truth exists. So obviously it comes to us from outside of this universe, created by something out there, something that created this universe. It's very strange and odd of us to think that that thing would want to have a relationship with us. Very strange and odd of us to think that thing is within range of communication with us. Mm-hmm. And yet we do. And we prove ourselves right every time. We invoke the creator of this reality, the great imaginator, the inventor of truth, the flying spaghetti monster. We ask him to condescend and fit his infinity in this finite reality. And more than that, fit an understanding of that infinity in my finite mind. And there's only one way for him to do that, because of the math issues we have with fitting infinity in finite space. He's got his noodly appendages, as it were, that he can reach out and touch you right in your center with. And you will feel right here in the middle of you a warmth, as it were, telling you that you are in fact being visited by something outside of this reality. To remind you that, yes, rituals are an inevitable part of your life. Yes, truth is worthy of worship, and yes, you are being touched by the creator of this reality right in your heart. And so, if you feel that, and you want to be a Pastafarian because of it, because here is a man with truth, here is a man who can create within me these feelings that Jesus said that were proprietary to him. He obviously must know something that I want to know. Bam, you're a Pastafarian. You're a cultist in the cult of the Flying Spaghetti Monster. Thank you very much. Congratulations. Welcome to the newest part of your life. I hope that every time you come into a new chapter, that you feel light and free. Okay? For there are many more chapters in your life. This is not the last chapter. Okay? They come and they go, and you will be racing through them at a hectic pace from now on, for they will mean something to you. Instead of the decades of time travel that you were doing trying to get to the end of your life, you will now realize, no, there's a lot to do before you get there. So, welcome to the newest chapter in your life, if you are in fact a new Pastafarian. If you've just recently lost a very large and meaningful support system because of your awakening from an ancient blood nightmare, my sincere condolences and empathy and sympathy. Let me tell you, you're not alone. Hey, if you've just been kicked out of the village and you're out in the wilderness with us, I do want to remind you there's much more of us out here in the wilderness. It's not as lonely as they want you to believe. But it really does suck. Hey, it was really warm in that village. All the lights were on, and it's like cold and rainy out here. So yeah, it sucks that they kicked you out. But you know, they were liars anyway. So we'll figure it out, and we have figured it out, and I'll prove it to you. And I'll prove it to you now, in fact, with a ritual that I have of invoking the creator of this reality. I will do it now. But before the ritual, I always have to give an apology. So, immediately before the ritual, my apologies. If you feel that my emotionality is making this take longer than it should, I am trying to contain my emotionality to the best of my ability. I was circumcised as a child, circumcised in the heart, as it were. I'm not capable of doing the things that you guys have a way of doing. So I will attempt to approximate that with sort of other things. One of them is aligning my chakras. That helps a lot. And so, if my emotionality makes us take forever and drag on and makes it all cringy, my sincerest apologies. It is one of the most private rituals of all. The invocation of something incredibly ridiculous and unbelievable and absolutely untrue. Do pardon me as I blow my nose? For it is about to get, snotty in here. I want to clear the passages. I will now do the business. I will now do my job as a minestrone in the cult of Flying Spaghetti Monster. In my office of Pastafarian Minestrone, Prophet, Seer, Shaman Guru of the cult of Flying Spaghetti Monster, I now perform my duty, my weekly invocation for those of us who are myth-addicted to the Flying Spaghetti Monster, the creator, the imaginer of all. Oh, Flying Spaghetti Monster! Seething mass of silliness and sauce and pastas and meatballs. Absolutely ridiculous and unbelievable creator of everything and imaginer and giver of truth and love. We come before thee again this week to ask thee again to get the fuck out of here. We have this under control, mister. Please. Shove off. We have the tools we need given to you anciently, long time ago, a mind capable of understanding and and a language capable of growth, and time enough to count out the truths that will save us. And so we thank you for the gifts that you've given us, the tools that we need to move our understanding into the future, and the endless future, relatively, from our point of view, with which to do great and miraculous things. We are grateful for the vision you have given us of this reality, that we are able to iterate our understanding of it every day and wake to a new and better understanding of our relationship with each other and with this reality and with ourselves. We do again pray for your absence, as we will prove ourselves good stewards of this reality, that you are no longer needed here to take care of it and keep it pristine. Please do help us on our quest to put our hand on the thermostat. Please help us mark a red line on the thermostat of the earth so that we can say, this is where it shall be. Please do help us as we create these wonderful environment for our grandchildren. Please help us as we continue to see reality for what it is. Please help us as we focus on today and tomorrow and forget the nonsenses and sillinesses of the past. Help us face forward and move forward. In the name of truth and of love, and in the name of Flying Spaghetti Monster, Ramen.
Yeah.
And so, that's very rude, swearing. I've just invoked the Creator. It isn't like swearing.
It does.
So this is my ritual, Pastafarians. And I hope that your rituals are not mine. Wouldn't that be strange? To have the same rituals. Wouldn't it be strange to look in someone's eyes and see the same eyes? So, I do now hope that you will take a moment or two to think of your rituals, absent of influence of others. And take now these moments to do this. Okay there, Pastafarians. We've done it. We have done the rituals, we have done the invocations. I hope you've taken this last few moments to think about your responsibility to yourself, to take responsibility for your rituals, for your religion, for the things that you believe. Maybe you made a list of your values, sort of sorted some of your priorities. I don't know how it works for you. And I bet you don't either. Ha ha ha! I bet you're practically novice at this. Huh. Because of how it's like never been your responsibility. It's always been something that you just listen to other people for. You know, like when you're cooking, right? And you're like, well, I have to get a recipe, right? And then you're like, no. I've been the one cooking each time. I choose how much flour. I could be like, this is too floury. And then I make a thing and I say, I don't put as much flour in because I don't like a floury cake. Like, you always have been capable of doing that. You've always been doing that. So, like, no, don't use anyone's recipe for your spirituality. The point is, you tell us the fucking cake you like to eat, goddammit. That's what it's supposed to be. Instead of, this is how you make a cake, make a good cake. It's supposed to be like, I like my cakes like this. You're a prophet. When the Creator speaks to you, when He touches you in your heart, when He tells you something's true, you're a prophet. Go write it down. Go shout it out. And if you do, if you like, go out on the street and street preach like I do, like an insane person, or if you draw a picture of Flying Spaghetti Monster, or if you make a song about him or something, send a link to that, if you would, to my Twitter. You can check me out on the Twitter. I do like to see celebrations of Flying Spaghetti Monster and the artistic byproducts of the rituals of believers. I like to see those. They're very inspirational, as it were. So do post those to my Twitter, please. This is it, ladies and gentlemen, Pastafarians. If we were going to be listening to music, if we would, the talking part would have filled up the 45 minutes, and with the 15 minutes left, the music would have covered. So I'm just gonna fucking stop talking, and next time you listen to a video or whatever, you can just pause it whenever you want and listen to a song. Look at that. We live in the fucking future, eh? So thanks for coming by for this very, very stupid ritual, this very, very obvious placebo, this quite... smoke and mirrors.
Yeah, you can be in charge of it now.
Yeah, it's are you going to die? It's a transparent illusion, as it were. As soon as you see how it's done, you see how it's done. And hopefully you're in charge of administering yourself placebo now instead of other people, because it works better that way. Actually, placebo should always be self-administered, as it were. And it works even when you know it's a placebo. It works. That's one of the interesting things about it. Is it's not a thing that doesn't work. That's not what placebo means. That's not at all what placebo means. A thing that does not work. It's a thing that works, even though it shouldn't. That's something totally different. And so, I don't know if I'm like, street magician or something, showing you the bowls and cups or whatever, but don't let anyone take money from you if they can do this magic trick, and don't let them tell you that they know more about morality than you do, just because they can do a weird emotional magic trick. And sure, it's maybe the only one I can do, and maybe I'll have to go to the School of Divinity to learn to do all the magical tricks, but I'd much rather not, right? It's not like it's got a great history of ethical giants, right? It's just a bunch of obedient cucks, as it were, working for some god they're never going to meet. So anyway, Flying Spaghetti Monsters, again, the one and true god of this reality, created this whole reality out of his imagination because he was bored and drunk, and that doesn't have to mess up your day. Just because he's a piece of shit doesn't mean you've got to worship him. So go ahead and worship something worthy of it. Maybe it's the people you love. Maybe it's art. Maybe it's a fight against illness. Who knows? Who knows what's worthy of your worship? Certainly not me. So thanks for joining us. We'll see you next week. Bye.
Bye.
Bye!